Hello there, happy Valentine's Day. Oh, it's a very special edition of Plus Talk on Plus Life where we turn positive into a plus and we talk about love and all those beautiful things that happen on days like today, Valentine's Day. And who better to do that than my amazing guests, Janelle and Jake. They're joining me from Texas. Jake is a teacher and Janelle is a TikTok superstar. Oh, and they both happen to be living with HIV. Who knew? Good to see you guys.
Hi.
Hey,
Happy Valentine's Day.
Likewise, happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Look, you've got each other. I've got my dog. He's my Valentine this year. But
I'm sending you kisses from afar. There
thank you
you go.
very much. Janelle, you do a fantastic job. You guys document your life. Married couple. You've got kids. You're both HIV positive. That in of itself gives me plenty of things to ask you questions about. But because we're about keeping it real, how do you guys keep it real? And why is it so important for you to keep it so real, so publicly with stuff that you do on social media?
When I was pregnant with my first, I really, I was reading all the mommy blogs. I was following all the Instagram accounts, but I felt like I could not relate because I had this looming kind of fear over me with being HIV positive. My doctors told me we were going to be fine. Everyone told me you're going to be good, but I wanted to find someone that I could relate to. I wish there was someone out there like me who was putting it all out there, but I didn't feel brave enough at the time. I started a blog anonymously called A Positive Mommy, and I just let the fear get to me and I took it all down. So once we had our third child, our last child, and she came out completely negative, I thought, I know I'm not alone out there. I know because I've seen these mothers at the clinic. I know that they exist, but they're too scared to speak out. So I decided to make it the mission, and I said, this is not just my status, it's our status, and we have to be comfortable with this. Are you comfortable? And so, especially under the previous presidential administration, we thought a lot of things were at risk, and so we thought, what better way to just really figure out who's really there for us and create the life that we want to create for our children than putting it all out there online. And we've gotten nothing but, no pun intended, positive results from it. So
Jake, for you, just while we talk about the kids for a second, what were the nerves like for you as a father, as an HIV positive man going into this? Were you concerned, or were you firmly of the belief that you equals you, even though it wasn't publicly sort of the thing then, was the science?
well, at the time that we discussed going public with it, I believed it. There was a time early on, like in our relationship, where it was still like we were saying, it was still kind of up in the air, and there were caveats put on it. But like when she came to me first about it, wanting to talk openly about it, she had to work on me for like a year and a half, 2 years to get comfortable enough to
yeah.
get to that point. Because I did not want. I was at that time. I was at the opinion of I was never going to say anything. Like I had best friends that I knew that they knew, but I never had addressed it with them because they had heard it like from other people.
Yeah.
So like I never wanted to talk about it at all.
Yeah.
That's the stigma, right? That's the
Yeah.
stigma that makes it. But here you are in this day and age, you're talking about it. To get a little saucy, how has you guys accepting that you are healthy and undetectable and thus don't present risks in many areas, how has that sort of burden and having that out and off your shoulders, how has it affected your sex life? Has it affected your sex life?
So, as people know from my TikTok channel and our TikTok channel, our story of how I contracted HIV is a little bit different, right? So it was through a broken condom, and it was obviously really traumatic at the time, and it almost drove us apart, believe it or not. It wasn't part of our plan. Like our plan forward was, okay, we're going to be mixed status. This is the way it's going to be, and it just our kind of earth shattered at that point. But it went from scary sexual encounters with condoms and making sure everything's okay to like, oh, there's less pressure, and to earth shattering sex. Let's just put it that way. No, no, but it's actually, to your point, I'm really happy we're talking about this because I don't think we've ever really discussed it. It really did kind of help. That was probably one of the one positive things that really came from our relationship, our intimate relationship. There was less fear. And I know Jake, for a long time, really had a hard time of me getting close to him. In fact, Valentine's Day is really significant in our relationship because he told me he was positive on Valentine's Day. So, and that was the first time where like we were in bed together, but not like that. We were just watching a movie, and that was the closest he would ever let me get to him. So the fact that we went from there to where we are now, celebrating Valentine's Day with you and with our kids, it's been like a really crazy full circle moment. So
Yeah, and to touch on that, Jake, I mean, I can only imagine the level of I don't know whether guilt is the right word, but you know, when you find out that this has happened, what was the process for you to get over that to where you are now, and as Janelle says, to having earth-shattering sex and being free, but being free of that feeling of my God, look what I've done, so to speak.
So, well, what actually had happened is I had started the medication, and the doctor, he'd even talked about U equals U and how once I get to the point of being undetectable, like we can have regular sex. But there was like a little miscommunication with our full understanding, and the condom just broke. And one of the times we were having sex before, and so it was earth shattering. But we were already actually we were legally married. We hadn't had our religious ceremony yet, so we were already married together. But that of like the days of my life that are the worst, like not me being diagnosed, but her being diagnosed is the worst day. And it was a lot of like self doubt, self guilt, and just swallowing it and pushing it to aside because like I felt bad and she felt terrible. So a lot of it was like me pushing that aside to be there for her to like help her cope and guide her through everything.
But how did you get over that? How did you get to that from that to where you guys are today? And I see on the TikTok going for date night, and you can just tell that you two are a tight couple. How did you get over that hump?
The easy answer is like I loved her so much that I knew I had to just swallow it and move past it. Like because that's how that like when we talk and we talk about stuff like that's kind of my attitude. Is like, okay, here's the situation. It is what it is. Let's move on.
Yeah,
well, I don't think it was that quick.
It wasn't that quick.
It wasn't that quick.
It was not that quick, but that's the easiest way.
Like it was just like no, like there were lots of conversations. I had to. He obviously felt super guilty about it, and I don't mean to speak for him, but you know, I'm obviously the more expressive one. I think the biggest moment, the aha moment for me and for him was, okay, look, this has happened to us. It sucks. But if I could have cut HIV out of you, I would have, and I still would have married you. If we could cut HIV out of the both of us, we would, and we would still move on. I have to accept responsibility for consenting to sex, even with a condom. That I chose that. And he, you know, I always wondered why he never resented me for this, because I remember the moment it happened, he was begging me to go to the hospital, and I was just so, I think honestly scared and frightened that I was just like, nope, everything's gonna be fine, and he did it. I mean, he was practically pushing me out the door, but I was like, no, that's my decision, and he's always been incredibly respectful of me and my decisions. So it took several conversations for us to get to the point of realizing, you know what, it sucks, but we love each other. If HIV or not, we would have chosen each other. So let's just move on.
Thank you for saying that, Janelle, because you raised two really important points that I think are important for people to hear. One is that you take responsibility for being one half of the partnership in choosing to, have sex with Jake. And the other part that you both mentioned, which is you're very kind of pragmatic, and I can relate to it because when I was diagnosed, I had the same immediate sort of reaction. It was like, okay, it's done. We can't rewind the clock.
Right.
We can't. There's no going back on this. So what can I do from this day forward to make sure I'm the healthiest and the best I can be? And that's how we move forward. And it's it's easier said than done, I think. But thank you for making those 2 points, because I think a lot of people just think, well, it's over, and it doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, right?
It doesn't end. Yeah, it doesn't end. Life's gonna go on with or without you, and with or without you being on board. That your life has just now changed trajectories, and honestly, it changes trajectories for I feel like a few months really, because Andy Feds, who's a comedian, a HIV positive comedian, always says it best. He says, I forget I'm HIV positive until I take my HIV meds. And of course that takes time, and that takes quite a while, But that's the point where like we are. You know, we've got 3 dogs who are running around causing ruckus. We've got 3 kids who could not care less that we do this. Like if they were here, they'd be asking us to like, where's dinner and where's it? Like it's just life has moved on. So that's you just have to accept it and move forward and know that we are in the best place possible right now when it comes to HIV to live a full and happy life. You know, God bless or universe bless, whatever you believe in, that you were diagnosed at this day and age where we have medication, U equals U, and everything happening.
Is it fair to say that, or ask the question that then really HIV doesn't come up for you guys? You're on living your lives, other than when you take that pill, especially when it comes to the bedroom, right? It's like we're a married couple, we get on with it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and also we choose to bring it up to the forefront when we do our social media stuff, our TikTok channel. Otherwise, it wouldn't really come up.
What about with the kids? Because you know, there's always people out there that go, "Oh, but what about the poor children?" And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are fine. We've told them, but they're still at an age where they don't fully comprehend.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, so you take a medicine? Okay, yeah, you're fine. Okay.
Yeah, and that's just kind of it. And you know, we plan on living long and happy, healthy lives just like everyone else. We could, God forbid, die tomorrow. We could, you know, something could happen. I mean, having children is risky, period, right? It's a risk. It's scary no matter what. And yeah, like Jake said, we plan on being honest with them, and we plan on telling them everything. We feel that honesty is the best policy, and just put it out there within age appropriate range, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Jake, I mean, obviously you're busy being a teacher. Generally, you're busy with your work as well as all the family life. So how do you guys find the time? What do you guys do to make sure that you two have that time so that date nights happen and I think, to use your language there, earth-shatteringly good sex happens?
Yes.
Boom.
I don't know. What do we do?
Well, honestly, it happens in the mornings.
Oh my God! You don't have to get that specific. We've incorporated it into our routine as much as we try. Oh my God! I'm gonna start blushing.
Hey, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Well, no, I mean, but some people would say scheduling sex isn't sexy, but I would imagine, and I have a dog, so I'm not in the parenting business like you guys are, but you've got to, but if you don't kind of schedule it, it doesn't happen, right? But how do you make scheduling sex sexy for each other?
I don't know that we schedule it so much as we make it a priority. You know, we can tell the difference when life has gotten busy and we haven't. We're like, what's wrong? Oh, that's what's wrong. Okay, let's figure this out. You know, and so we try to incorporate it into a routine. You know, best way to wake up, right? So yeah, there's that. And then for date nights and things like that, you know, I wish like we could say we have like a weekly date night. We don't. We're super busy, but we tend to kind of both mutually feel like, hey, you know what? We haven't hung out. Let's do that. We'll take any opportunity to go out and do something like this. So or just, you know, any time we just try to prioritize each other. Really, that's the big point.
I love that. So, and you know, everyone's journey is different, everybody's story is different. But what advice, what advice would you give folks out there who, you know, a lot of them living with HIV go, nobody wants me, I'm damaged goods, or I'm going to be single forever. What are some just sort of general words of wisdom as two people who are in a happily married, committed love life with great sex, who are both positive? What words of wisdom do you want to share with the lonely hearts of us out there on Valentine's Day?
Well, to go back to like when you're newly diagnosed, and to me, like when I was, that's when that feeling came up. Okay, life's over. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like you kind of just have to realize and accept what the doctors are telling you, that you know everything's gonna be okay. Yes, you have to take a medication now. You have to be more on top of your health, but for the most part, you're gonna be fine. And that you can still live your life and live a long, healthy life. Like, for example, my doctor cares more about my cholesterol than my HIV because, so.
I would say, yes, it does. It is quite, it feels like the rug's been ripped out from underneath you and it's really intense. But you really also, in the words of RuPaul, how the hell are you going to love somebody else if you can't love yourself? And I really think that's super important. And what that means for everyone is different, but what that means is also kind of like the boring stuff of going to the doctor, making sure you're taking care of yourself. That is self-love. And once you get to that point to be completely okay with where you are, or maybe you're not completely okay, but that's okay. One pill at a time, one day at a time, you're going to get there, and really truly remember that the science is on your side. Don't get so scared. You equals you is real. I'm living proof of it, and love yourself, and the love will come, and it be attracted to you.
Yeah, great words of wisdom from Jake and Janelle. I wish we had more time, but listen, it's Valentine's Day, and you two have to get on with it. Or your date, at the least, to start with. I mean, if we feel the earth moving here, it won't be an earthquake in California. It might just be you guys in Texas. Janelle and Jake, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. One of my dreams since I started came out was to talk to you and be on here. So it's just, you're making a dream.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet.
Yes.
That's touching.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hey, that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Talk. But remember, you can follow us across social media platforms. We are at Plus Life Media, or visit the website pluslifemedia.com, and we will put Janelle's TikTok information in the captions and whatever that stuff that happens below here that I don't know how that works. Somebody else does. So we'll put all of that there. And until next time, be nice to each other, and happy Valentine's Day. See ya.